I don't know what the Klarna is, but they're doing some shit with Door Dash now where you can like finance your food. This is the beginning of the fucking end of the American economy. You got 3% interest on your french fries. You know what I'm saying?
So we really out here putting hamburgers on layaway. Like, y'all really out here with the I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday for a burger today type energy. I can see it now. The notifications on your phone. Your first installment for the Popeyes that you ordered is due. So what happens if you don't pay that Klarna bill? Does it go on your credit? Are you going to pull your credit report one day and you going to say Popeyes Corporation because you didn't pay Klarna for your Popeyes 6-piece of the biscuit? Child, the economy is in shambles. And we are not out here financing houses. We financing Happy Meals. Baby, I give up. I give up.
So here we are. There's a company that has come out, and we'll call it Door Dash and Klarna. And they have figured out how to buy now, pay later, food, fast food, DoorDash, whatever you want to do. This is where we're at. We're at a situation in our economy where people are financing food. I mean, people were doing it with credit cards before, but people are at their limit on these credit cards. Most are not going to be able to get much more credit. I mean, we're at an alarming rate of credit card usage. I mean, to the likes of it being the next economical collapse, unsecured debt. And so if you can postpone the payment of the cheeseburger for 4 or 5 months, pretty soon people will just forget about it. And they know this. And then the trap has sprung and these people will be no longer able to get apartments. They will no longer be able to finance cars. They will be wrecked by this credit destruction. And you'll have the haves and the have-nots. And let's dive into this subject because I don't think people are tracking what this means. I mean, pretty soon we're going to be financing water, which we already are for the most part. People just don't know it yet. You just keep turning up the heat on the pot and pretty soon the crawfish in it doesn't know that he's being boiled. And that's what's going on.
I'm on food stamps because I genuinely need them. And my renewal was in January. Last month they asked me to submit supporting documents, and I did 3 separate times through the online portal and directly to the supervisor's email. And last Friday I was called and told that they needed me to redo the supporting documentation and submit different things, and that they were due that day. On Monday, I called, confirmed that they had received the documents, and was told that they were continuing to work my case. And now here it is Friday, and I just got off the phone with the customer care division, who informed me that they had closed my case because of the fact that they needed supporting documents. The exact ones that I had emailed on Friday and was told Monday they had received. And when I tried to tell the woman this, she told me I could speak to the supervisor or reapply. So I asked to speak to the supervisor, which is something I've never done. And of course it went to voicemail. What would the point be in me reapplying if it's just going to go to the exact same people? I try really hard to maintain perspective and understanding of the fact that things could be a lot worse. And I am lucky that in spite of our dwindling food supply, I do still have something to feed my children. But I am really frustrated right now. And the one time I need them more than ever is the time that all of this happens. It's just, I'm just really upset and frustrated and sad because
So what do you think about this situation? I feel for the children. There's the system, and then there's people wanting food, and now they have the ability to buy now, pay later. This entire idea is going to prey on this type of person, and those that go and get the Lexus and finance their food, okay? Those that had driving the fancy car, but also financing their Taco Bell. You're going to have a conglomeration of these people, and the system, corporate America, has figured out how to lobby their way into whatever the usury laws are or whatnot to allow the noose to snatch on these people. And you really got to start thinking about this. Should somebody have the ability to have an unsecured debt to go out and buy food because they need it? They honestly have to feed their family. because of whatever their situation is. Then you have those out there that are going to abuse this idea and just be like, you know what? I'm never going to pay it back. They're never going to catch me. And then in 10 years, they can't get an apartment. They can't buy a house. They can't get another car. And then it becomes society's problem because you have this person that is homeless because of their bad financial situation. But then you have those that were just trying to feed their 4 kids and they have no credit anymore either. This is where we are. We're in these situations where there's just not an answer for some of this. What do you think? Comment down below.
Okay, I have a very embarrassing confession. So
Case in
I have
point,
never
right here.
eaten like a normal person. Let me explain. So I have never consistently eaten food from my house. Never a day in my life. I could probably count on 2 hands the number of times that I have eaten 3 meals at home in the last 5 years. And they were probably all on Christmas because everything was closed. I just do not cook. I do not shop. I'm terrible at it. And
if you don't have money, you have to be resourceful. If you do have money, you can afford not to be able to do things like cook. But if you don't have money, you got to learn how to cook. You got to learn how to forage for yourself. I mean, you're talking about somebody here that still takes his lunch everywhere. I like taking my lunch everywhere. I like making my own food. I like just cutting down on the time consumption and the monetary consumption of making food or buying food, paying for a tip, time traveling there, time traveling back. I've realized, you know what, I'm just going to take my food. It's way healthier. And I don't understand when people just, you know, I don't cook. I don't understand that. What do you think down below? What do you think?
I don't know if you've lived in America, but I can't afford to do that anymore. And it's January, which means, hello, Evie. Hi. Which means slow season for me. So funds are looking scary and I need to learn how to be an adult and eat at home. So we're going to start doing that. And I'm wondering if you might be interested in seeing what that looks like for us, because it is not going to be super duper fancy. And I'm learning how to not do it in a way that's similar to disordered eating.
This is real, that eating healthy in America is dieting. And the thought of a good breakfast is a donut. I haven't eaten a donut in years. Okay. And the idea that eating healthy is a diet. I haven't had sugar in months. And I realize I'm way healthier that way. But we have been programmed that we're supposed to just go and get food whenever. That when we're supposed to eat healthy, that's somehow an inconvenience. I don't understand this. And these are the people that are going to get caught up in financing food. That, you know, I grew up on Taco Bell. I grew up on hamburgers. I grew up eating like that. And that's why I'm totally different now. But when you didn't have money, you're just like, you know what? It becomes part of society. Just, you know, finance it, man. Pay for that Diet Coke later. And you go right back to the ballpark, or you go right back to watching football or whatever. And you never think about that debt clock is just ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking. This is a wild situation we're at today.
But until you're 25, DoorDash launches a pay later, buy now plan for food. Now that is very crazy to me. Like, society as a whole has really come down. But first off, let me tell you, there are 2 types of people in this world for this payment plan. There's the ones that are going to say, oh my god, but it's because inflation has been going so crazy high, it left us nowhere to go and we have to finance our food now. And there's people that are gonna say, oh my god, this is sad. Now, if you are the person who says society has made it so hard for us to live and now we have to finance our food, you are the problem. You yourself are the problem. If you ever told me that I would one day have to live on Earth and finance my food, and then I blame it on society, like, okay, I get, you know, times may be difficult, But if you don't make enough money for food, there's something wrong, because the last thing I've known, like right now I am self-sufficient, but there were times before where I wasn't. But financing food was never one of them. And like society as a whole now, it's just horrible because everyone has messed up values. Like, it's looked down upon to live with your family until you're good to go. People are like, oh my god, you still live with your mom or dad? Like, obviously don't live with your mom and dad until whatever age, like I guess maybe 25. But until you're 25, you should be saving up that money and possibly doing something that actually, elevates your life. The people who say like, oh, society has made it so expensive and now we have to finance our food, these are people who stay stagnant their whole life. Like, these are the people who blame society for everything. They complain about the minimum wage and things like that, because me personally, I'm always trying to improve, or at least try to make more money. But when I try to make more money, it's really because I'm trying to improve myself, which causes me to make more money. But people who complain about minimum wage, complain about housing, like, and then they live in NYCHA or Section 8 or whatever the case might be, and then they never find a way out. These are the same people who will finance their food but have a nice car. These are the same people who will finance their food but they're taking an Uber every day. These are the same people that do the same thing over and over, and the same people who would use these payment plans. And it's because they don't know how to manage their money. And it's no one else's fault but theirs. But until they begin to realize that it is their own fault, life is pretty affordable, even if you make minimum wage. I am from New York, so.
Our society has gone from a family unit to where you lived around your family. Your family was a unit and it supported itself until you became of age, and then you went out and you prospered. Then we went into this, you're supposed to go out there and live on your own and do these things on your own. And then life got very expensive. I mean, take for example my house. When this house was built, there was 2 plugs because you only needed electricity for a fan or maybe a light bulb and maybe a radio. And that was it. Now we have cell phone bills. We have fancy iPhones. We have clothes that are expensive. We have this commercial lifestyle that the media has told us to have, that you're supposed to have all these things. We went from 800 square foot houses to 3,000 square foot houses. We went from cheap cars and motorcycles to now, if you don't have a fancy car, who are you? And what does fancy car mean? Car payment. I mean, my first, 15 years in life as a driver, I had a $3,000 truck, which I drove cross country 4 times. I had roommates. I lived a very minimal life, saving like 90% of my income for my entire adult life, and still do that. I just kept investing in myself over and over, whether it was educational things. If there was a finance book laying around, I read it. If there was an entrepreneurial book laying around, I read it. If there was a mentor I needed to go talk to, I said, hey, can I have 5 minutes of your time to just tell me in the right direction, how did you get where you were at? Like, how did you learn how to do real estate, how to wholesale, how to buy and flip, how to talk to people? Heck, this book right here, I found in a dumpster. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's one of the greatest sales / talking to people book that is ever written. And this is how you talk to people and you network and you learn how to sell to people. And I learned sales skills, and I learned how to publicly speak, and I learned how to edit videos, and I learned how to make a YouTube video, always investing in myself. But if you think you're just going to wake up one day, work at McDonald's from 9 to 5 for minimum wage, and think you're just going to be successful, this is the type of things that are going to happen to you. People are going to make you finance your food. You're never going to have your own place. You have to break the shackles of our society, this corporate environment that preys on the lower part of society. Trust me, I was in it. I lived in rural Florida from a family that would just worked to survive. It had an entrepreneurial air to it, and my dad taught me from a very early age that you can have a side hustle. You can start a business. You can go out and do these things to not be a part of that hustle and bustle, hamster wheel society, and you really got to start thinking, how do I get out of this? Go find your reading list. Go and save your money. Go and cut grass on the weekends. Get that third job until all of a sudden you're out of that rat race. You can get your own apartment. You can start saving for a down payment. Learn how to wholesale real estate. Learn how to buy, fix, and flip. Learn how to JV deals. Learn how to pool money with other people and buy that big asset that you can flip, that all of a sudden you can make that return on. Learn how to do taxes. Learn how something about the law. Learn how for people not to take advantage of you. And that's exactly what this system is doing, is it's taking advantage of those that are not financially literate. Get financial literate. Most of these books are sitting around in libraries, dollar stores. Learn how to invest, learn how to do stocks, learn how to bust the system. And that is what I want to say. Consumer protection industry that is in the United States, it's all corrupt, okay? It's fueled by the lobbyists that say, you know what, go pick on the taxi guy that might try to give you a ride from point A to point B instead of the Uber and Door Dash and all these other things, these apps that are just massively taking advantage of you. And don't get me started on Airbnb with the junk fees and all these things that are starting to get people, and people are waking up to it. But you got to start looking at it and taking it serious that if the product is free, you're the product. Okay, if you can't figure out how they're making money, it's you. It's advertisement. It's payments down the road. I'll blow your mind with this one. You know why TVs are so cheap now? Where you can get a 50, 60, 80-inch big screen TV for $300? Because you're the product. It's tracking what you're watching and selling that data back to the big corporate entities, and you're the product. You got to start thinking about these things. Why are things so cheap? Or why am I getting this for free? They are trying to put shackles on you over a Big Mac for the rest of your life. And if you don't pay attention to this, they have you. This is wild. This is just so wild and a very interesting time, and you got to start being savvy. There's no more excuses, or they're gonna enslave you for the rest of your life.
DoorDash is going public, and they've announced that they're partnering with Klarna. If you're not familiar, Klarna is a buy now, pay later, buy now, pay in installments plan. Klarna is a lending agency. Before I get into how utterly fucking depraved this is, let me tell you a small story regarding consumer protection. I've told you guys about this guy before. He was an Uber driver. He had Uber and Lyft placards in the front of his car. He's outside of a stadium. He gets entrapped 2 different times by agents of the county asking him for an estimate of how much it would cost.
This is what I'm talking about right here. They're not going to protect you on the things you need to be protected from. The lobbyists have them covered. And then they sick the consumer protection industry with the fines and all the little handcuffs they can put on you. Those are the ones that keep the small businesses down to where you can't ever fight against the big man. Sometimes the government man is weaponized against the public. And she's spot on with this. Listen to what she has to say.
To get to Miami. He says $75, great. A couple weeks later, he has these agents come to his house with 2 tickets for $5,000 each, $10,000 in fines. The agents were agents of the County Consumer Protection Agency.
Which would shut down the small business owner or the taxi guy or the guy just trying to give somebody a lift. Oh, don't get me started on the business license you have to have and the special insurance and all the things you got to have on your car, or the idea that you might get robbed in the meanwhile, the risk.
And they were purporting to protect consumers from the risks that are associated with getting a ride from someone outside of the Uber app. Apparently, it's so risky and so dangerous to consumers to pay a guy for a ride that they're going to charge them. They have whole sting operations, and they're going to charge them $5,000 each time. Who is this really protecting? They're a protection racket for Uber and Lyft. That's Uber's money. That's Lyft's money. I know it's your car that you pay for. I know it's your property. And I know that 2 consenting adults can enter into a contract for one of them to provide a service in exchange for money. I need a ride. All right, it'll be $75. I know that that's all okay, but I also know that that's Uber's money. Uber needs their cut. So our government agencies, who we pay taxes to, are expending their resources to make sure that Uber and Lyft don't get cut out of their cut, to prevent you from using your own property to make money. And they call it consumer protection. Even though me as a consumer, if I ask Bob for a ride and I know I'm not doing it through the app, I full well know and am aware that I'm not going through Uber or Lyft, right? I'm making that conscious choice, right? But daddy knows best. The Consumer Protection Agency says that they've got to get involved because that's just too risky for you, Sheila. So back to Klarna. The Consumer Protection Agencies have made public showings of pretending to crack down on, for example, payday advance places because they're predatory. And yet somehow they still exist. Their financing charges are unconscionable, and yet they're still in existence and still operating. Klarna has not historically been used in the food delivery space. But these apps, when you grant them permission, are able to see your behavior, and they get to see and quantify how many times you go all the way to the checkout and then abandon your cart when there's $40 in extra fees exclusive of a tip. They know you've got a credit card, so they know that you could put it on your credit card and incur fees and interest charges there. Ignore that bill. They know you could do that, and yet you're still not going through with the purchase. It must be the sticker shock. It must be you being responsible. It must be you saying, yeah, $40, even if I'm just looking at it in numbers, I'm not willing to pay that. Enter Klarna. Why don't we give them the option of financing it over time?
But if you can take that payment and make it smaller, most people will not think that it's smaller, but over a longer length of time with more interest. And we have this habit in our society right now. It's not about how much, it's about what's the payment. And it's going to be the same way with houses. Okay? You'll see a 40-year mortgage soon. 45-year mortgage. Housing price stays the same. Monthly payment is smaller because it's over a longer period of time. But what they don't tell you is the house is completely worn out in 40 years when it insures. And you've paid a lot of money in interest. Start thinking about that.
So they know that it's the money, it's the number that you're seeing at the checkout, the total due today that is making you close the app. What is more predatory than allowing for a external financing institution to solicit business at your checkout? And the fact that this is being announced at the same time as they're going public tells you exactly how much money they expect to make off of adding Klarna as a checkout option. People are going to say, well, that's everyone's own stupid decision. That's their own choice. I have two things to say to that. One is that all you have to do is watch one episode of Caleb Hammer to know how financially illiterate a lot of people are. And two, yes, it is their own stupid choice. Yet, the government agencies that we pay money to get involved and say that even though it is your stupid choice to get into a car outside of the Uber app, I'm going to get involved and I'm going to fine people $5,000 per transaction or attempted transaction. The solicitation of it alone is enough to get the fine. The agencies that we pay to purportedly protect consumers get involved in that scenario, but they're not getting involved in this scenario. In both instances, it is the people's own personal knowing choice. You have to ask yourself why. Why are they going after these Uber drivers? Because they're a protection racket for Uber and Lyft. They are helping Uber and Lyft get their cut. It is not consumer protection. Door Dash is going public.
Remember the whole 90-day same as cash? Still do it now. And it's like, oh, 0 interest for 90 days, but after that, we're going to balloon you to the ceiling. Same way with commercial loans, 5-year bubble notes. And most people don't think about it. They just hear that up front, It's like the idea, you name something really nice and sweet and nobody will ever go against it, because how dare you go against something like saving the poor? But when you look at the company itself, it's completely corrupt because of the way the corporation is run and what the money is actually used for. You just put a fancy title on it. So tell me what you think about this. I'm really passionate about this one because I know it's going to create such a big issue. Politicians, they don't care. Politicians are the ones that are being lobbied too. And if you don't think that DoorDash and Lyft and Airbnb and all these junk companies that have sunk their hands into us over the cough situation, that they're not funding these political campaigns, you got another thing coming. Politicians run off of financing of their campaigns by these large corporations. So they're not here to save us. And I've been against these politicians ever since I saw what they did during the you-know-what situation a couple of years ago, during these hurricane disasters and the homeowners insurance and all these things they have done to where they've been nowhere to be seen until we start screaming on social media that, hey, this is predatory or you're not there. Tell me what you think down below. Let's hear good discord. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and we can all learn from each other. There's probably somebody out there that is trying to finance their food because they can't figure out what to do next. Maybe they're a college person or they're in a bad situation, just lost their job from all these layoffs. And they're like, you know what? I need to finance my food. And maybe in the near term, that is something that you might need to do for a week or two until you get on your feet. But make sure you understand that they are gaming the system against you. That if you do not pay for that in that 2, 3, 4 month period, whatever they're trying to give you zero interest on, that is going to explode on you in that month 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 year, or whatever the baked in cost of it is. It could be that there's a service fee that you're going to have to pay on top of it, just like if you bounce your debit card at the bank or something. There's some reason why they're letting you have this money, and it's not to help you out. Just understand how this predatory stuff works, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I was a little fired up about it. I've drank way too much coffee. Comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one because these are very interesting. There's a lot of stuff to learn from on these TikTok videos. See you later.